Good morning, everybody, and welcome to episode 00047. We took the last couple weeks off, which is a little bit crazy, but it's July, so I had a little bit of travels in there, but that's okay because we're going to pack 3 weeks of episodes into this incredible guest that we have here today, Dave Payne. Thank you for being here, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dave.
So Dave is pretty well known, I would say, in the residential construction and remodeling circles. Certainly, he's now expanding as just a full entrepreneurial enterprise builder that I want to dig into a little bit. So, love to talk a little bit about kind of your evolution into remodeling and how that's kind of grown into all these other avenues. If I remember correctly, well, we met about probably in 2019, something like that. And you came from a long line of home builders in Cleveland, and you said, you know what, screw this, I'm going to do remodeling instead because I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and my family can't do remodeling, but I can figure out how to do it. And then you killed it. Is that accurate?
Somewhat, yeah. I do come from a family business. I originally worked with my father and my uncle, and about 9 years ago, my brothers and I thought we could. I thought we could do better focusing exclusively on remodeling and them on new construction. So we made the decision to do that after almost 20 years of me doing that. So yeah, and then I convinced, persuaded my friend Dean Tompkins to join me, and we started and we hit it hard.
When you guys both studied engineering, right?
We did. We're both mechanical engineers, a couple of nerds from Ohio State University.
Go Buckeyes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, go Buckeyes. I think that's always a really fascinating transition. And love Dean, love talking to Dean as well, because you guys coming from an engineering background, trying to apply those concepts and principles to something that is so difficult to control, which is a remodeling operation. Did that feel like an exercise in futility, or do you guys think you figured it out?
I wouldn't say we figured it out, but I definitely not an exercise in futility. Fortunately, Dean is a big, I would consider him an expert on like lean manufacturing and value stream mapping and those sorts of things. So for us, trial and experimentation, trying new things, testing it, seeing it work. We find a lot of joy in it. This isn't working. Let's attack it. Let's try to do it differently. That didn't work either. Ouch. Let's try again. So it's been kind of our nature, frankly, to just constantly see what we can change or improve or do better.
So on a somewhat related note, and of course, I'm still reeling from the Carolina Hurricanes winning the Stanley Cup. And so their general manager I believe he's a chemical engineer turned analyst in terms of identifying talent and building out these perfect teams. And he talks about the parallels between chemical engineering and being an NHL manager, because you can only see so far into the molecules or whatever else, and at some point you just have to understand how all the world works and make really informed assumptions or decisions. Is that kind of how you guys see it? Like there's a level of control that you can totally control, and then there's levels of kind of optimized assumptions?
Yeah, absolutely. It's what can we reduce down to something that's more mechanical in a business or in human behavior? What remains nebulous, or I like to refer to some things are just tensions. You can't solve them or reduce it down, but they inform things, and you can learn from it. So, and it's really, to be really nerdy, it's kind of scientific method is testing, having a hypothesis, testing assumptions, looking at data, trying not to jump to conclusions too quickly, and trying to find patterns in things that might not be as clear, to try to see how we can learn or assume more control. I guess we are definitely control enthusiasts.
Well, and how does your team, so just kind of going backwards, so you guys started, it was Payne and Payne Renovations, and then you and Dean partnered up, and now it's Payne and Tompkins. So originally it was you and your brothers, and then they went kind of back to home building, and you and Dean took this thing over. Is that accurate?
Yeah, yes. Home building was 95% of the business originally back in 2017. So it was always the core business. And my brothers have only continued to do amazingly well. They're a great company, one of the most consequential custom builders in the market. And Dean and I grew the remodeling from a very small portion of the business to a pretty meaningful business. Did I miss your question as I was answering?
No,
that?
no,
Sorry.
no. That's right. Because I was just trying to understand that origin, and then did you guys kind of start from scratch in terms of building your team? I'm just trying to get to kind of the background of how you got to the size
Yeah.
you are now, which is how many people do you guys have just in the remodeling? I guess you have a lot of overlap with the other.
Just in remodeling, I'd say somewhere around 50 to 55 people right now. So, and originally, no, it was just Dean and I. We informed some members of the team that we were kind of going off on our own. I thought there would be more of a little bit of a split of people, but there were a lot of people who were really comfortable. It was a great company. They're like, hey, this is stable. We like this. So we brought a couple people from the old team with us, 2 or 3 maybe. But other than that, it was, we felt very much like a startup. We moved quickly into a space, just we're running and gunning and getting it going and, trying to do it the best we could.
And then on the journey to 55 people, what were kind of the big levers? I know you guys are levers guys, right? So you're forecasting, you're projecting, you're saying, when we do this, we need to build this out. Were there kind of some major milestones, whether it's volume or sales flow or something like that informed you guys in continuing to build? Or did you invest ahead of time?
Yeah, that's a good question. Absolutely. We were very intentional about where we wanted to be. We actually 8 years ago did a 10-year plan, kind of the big, hairy, audacious goal. And we're actually tracking to that, which is kind of shocking now looking back at it. So we've always been intentional and milestone driven. But for us, we were working at a pretty substantial, large company that had a lot of trade resources and strong trade relationships. And we were just used to having a certain amount of collaboration and maybe even leverage to execute work in a certain size. So for us, when we initially started, we set a goal. We want to get to 10 million in revenue as quickly as we can, because based on how we kind of forecasted that organizational chart, that was have a nice balanced division of different roles, would be kind of optimal in terms of overhead, and would give us a size where we could have, captured trade resources, our own electrical crew, plumbing crew, carpenters dedicated to just our work. We just wanted to hit that size so we could kind of, so we had more control, frankly, and the ability to execute. We wanted to be known for having good intentions, great people, and 100% execution trust. Like our clients knew that if they hired us, we were going to start on time, finish on time, communicate. So we were really motivated to try to get to a scale where we can do that. And then once we hit, as being intentional, every year we plan out, what do we want to look like 3 years from now? So we blew through 10 million and kind of kept running along there. And we're really targeting our next kind of threshold organizationally in the next couple of years.
Okay. And then, so you have in-house carpenters. You say you also have in-house electricians and plumbers?
No, we don't, but with key partners where we can have enough work where we have a dedicated crew. It's like only Danny and Dave, for example, are doing the roughs on the electricals, and they know our systems and processes and our team. And there's a lot of strong mesh in our collaboration, rather than having 5 different crews that we, have to start over on each project and get to know each other and the start and stop points, I guess.
And on that note, as usual, I'm just going on these kind of crazy tangents. You've talked to a lot of companies throughout the country over the years. Like you and Dean are just such good, researchers and just trying to learn as much, understanding you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Have you come across, I've always been curious, like remodeling companies that have, in-house trades, like in-house electricians, because every project we do has electrical, but do you need to get to a certain volume to be able to keep that person busy, or then do you have handyman? Have you come across companies that have in-house specialty labor?
Absolutely. And we do have carpentry in-house. I'm not sure if I missed that part. So we do self-perform all of our carpentry.
That's a somewhat typical, I mean, not every company, we don't, but a lot of them have carpentry, but I don't see people get into the specialty
electrical
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Some you'll see, some of my RA peers your cities might have a plumber or electrician on board. Honestly, since this will come out later, I'm meeting a tile installer later today to talk about his goals, what he wants to accomplish. He's going off on his own, and I'm going to see if it might be a potential fit for him to come rather than go off on his own. Come install tile as a teammate of ours. Let us do the heavy lifting for you and keep your schedule full. So for us, it's a math equation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when we have enough revenue, and then actually more than enough revenue for one or two people, that we can keep them running full and then have a plan B to just do the backfill. And so right now, with the size we're at, we think, tile, perhaps electrical, maybe some other phases. What we learned when we had added carpenters is we could just be more responsive, more intentional about upskilling, training, those sorts of things. So honestly, that as a control enthusiast, the more that we can do and be intentional about internally and take really good care of these people too. Like, our mission is to create awesome places for people to work. So we think we could just provide better. And I think making things is the future. Content creation is now being somewhat automated. So the more that we're tactile and able to do things hands-on and control that, I think we'll protect our business and our team in the next generation as things really evolve.
Absolutely. No, that's cool, man. And I want to kind of get into, because I'm digging in on, obviously the in-house trades and things like that you guys, but you did expand into building cabinets. So you guys are a cabinet maker now too. Is that something that you purchased, or did you guys build that out? Was that organic?
Well, that was ground up.
Oh, wow.
And again, kind of being engineers, we always look at what are the biggest obstacles to where we want to go. And we worked with some great cabinet companies, but we needed to work with 5 or 6 different custom shops to meet our demand, and communication mistakes and dimensional mistakes. It was a reoccurring issue with our ability to deliver on our commitments. So Dean and I and another partner of ours, an Amish gentleman, said, what if we just did this on our own? So we studied a whole bunch of different cabinet companies, toured a bunch, looked at their equipment. Some were kind enough to share things like profit and loss statements for us. So we said, you know what? We think we could do this. We got laughed at a couple RA meetings. Frankly, they thought we were crazy. It's like, why would you ruin a perfectly good remodel business and distract yourself with cabinets? But we rented a space, bought all the machines, hired a crew, and started making cabinets about 2.5 years ago now. So, and it's been a lot of growth and trial and error, but it's been a ball. I love our product and our team and feel really good about where we're headed.
Do you thrive when people say that's crazy, you can't do that?
Yeah, definitely. I'm very motivated. I'm very competitive. I like to be challenged and poked in the chest. So when we were literally laughed at, I said, I'll send you the P&L the first year. The P&L the first year wasn't anything to be proud of, but the value of the entity we've created though is significant, and it is, and the mission is important. We have partners in our business that are in the Amish community. We have a great connection with that, and we're really not trying to just make cabinets and solve an issue for our company. It's called Mission Custom Cabinets because we also want to positively impact the Amish community, try to give people a great place to work, or even if it's not with us, other cabinet shops can learn from us, and even if our employees don't want to stay with us, hopefully they leave with a higher expectation of how they should be treated and rewarded in their work. And so that's why we called it Mission Custom Cabinets. So it is a for-profit, but we're also really trying to do something good for the community.
Well, and with RA peers saying, well, it's kind of funny you mentioned that, because there was many companies that we would look at over the years, and the cabinet company was either the one thing they should keep or the one thing they should get rid of, right? Because it's a lot of equipment, and it's a lot of other liabilities, and it's just some ways completely different entity. But to your point, like, I've set up a highly functioning service remodeling company. I'm trying to get that to a certain plateau. Instead of just going up with that and organizing all these pieces, I want to go there and then bring all the other stuff in and go vertical.
That was it. It was at the time, it was the most opportune path for growth or company value creation. There was a lot more risk in starting a cabinet company, but honestly, now that we're in it, if we want to scale cabinets 50%, it might need a little bit of adding onto our space and hiring a couple people, and then we just order some more materials from our suppliers. The actions that it takes to make that produce more or be more valuable is a lot more accessible than if I say, I want to grow my remodel company 50%. And I need 2 designers and 3 PMs and this many more trades. So not making light of both, but we always just look at what's the most opportune path for us to grow our enterprise or create value within our business, and we attack that. And so that time it was cabinets. So
yeah, and I think now you're kind of bringing on furnishings and things of that nature, just kind of continuing to probably, more or less organic, like identifying the places. And that was another one where people are asking you to do this stuff. You're like, well, you have a designer that takes a lead on it and says, I think we can do this. Let's do it, right?
Yeah, we just had our annual strategic planning session for our furniture company, which is a totally separate company now. And it has very ambitious growth goals. So if we hit our growth goals in our different, our cabinet company or furniture company, they could be as consequential as our remodel company is in 5 in terms of people or company value.
So on the whole side of, bringing in manufacturing and products and all of that stuff, the variables of what we do, my ultimate question here is, do you find you and Dean wanting to limit options to your customers, or by bringing on those things gives them more options? Because I've always felt like there's so much efficiency that could be gained if we could just narrow the field of the products available into these projects. But people don't want to do that. They want everything, right? They want to be able to pick and choose all these different things. Have you guys narrowed that, or is it really, you have high-end clients? What do you want, right?
That's it. I mean, to me, the enemy of profitability is commodity, right? So anything that if it's easy to do for someone else to do it, it's not worth much. So what we do as a remodel company is we produce a high execution success, low aggravation experience for clients. Try to make it easy on them. We found that the clients who value that the most are the most affluent, and they want what they want. So we prefer to work with them, provided they treat us with trust and respect. Because frankly, and it's more fun. One of the fun things about remodeling going from construction was, in construction, the budget's got a lot of mouths to feed. Site conditions, underground utilities, insulation, countertops. What I love about remodeling and being in the more affluent space is we get to build it and design it more like we really want to. We're not trying to pick from a narrow set of options. We get to be more expressive and creative and build a better mousetrap, I guess.
Heck yeah.
More fun.
Yeah. You like a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. Otherwise it gets really boring. It's terrible for my leadership team at times. Like, we go in cycles, and sometimes I have to force myself to behave and let things happen. But I do like to create and be challenged and that sort of thing.
Well, I mean, I think that's, and I want to talk about leadership team a little bit too. I think that's what's so cool about it. Whether it's ironic or however you want to call it, like, you like to be challenged to take something complicated, make it complex, and then make it easy. Correct. But then once it's easy, you're bored. So you have to take the next thing, right?
That's the cycle. Yes, yeah. I've learned that, and I've accepted it. I tried to be okay with being bored. I worked on that for a while. That didn't work for me. It's like, no, let's go have fun. Let's be uncomfortable. Let's play,
Yeah, and I mean, on that note, what does your leadership team look like right now? What kind of departments do you guys have?
We have a 2-level team. So our leadership team is head of business development and marketing is one person, head of finance and admin, head of design, and head of production. And then Dean, who is our integrator since we were on EOS, and then myself as president visionary. We also, so that's the top, that's more strategic work on the business, personnel related. And then we have a department head team, which, we have 3 different remodeling divisions, each with a division manager. And so we have other people within that team who are also involved in some work on the business. And that's more recent, adding the department head team. That's just in the last 2 years. But that's been, I would tell you right now, that's my biggest success. Our biggest success is the quality of people that we have between our department head team and leadership team. Just awesome people, really smart, really capable. And to some extent, some of the work that I need to do to develop and grow things is I need to feed the machine. These people, have high metabolisms and want challenges too and things to do. So it's fun.
Well, and that gives you a level of separation then between kind of the day-to-day operations as well, which allows you to challenge yourself in new ways.
Right.
And probably keeps the team flowing a little bit better because you're not getting bored and causing chaos for them or saying shift this over there. I'm just making assumptions.
Totally.
Asking for a friend. I'm nothing like that.
I've had to they've had to train me, and I've had to train myself avoid being an accidental mess maker because I wasn't busy enough. So I think I've improved on that, but you'd have to ask them.
Well, I would say going back to when we were in a RA group together, like some of the concepts and books that you guys introduced to us obviously were pretty significant. Traction and EOS was one of them. I think you guys were one of the early companies that just kind of locked in and said, this is how we're going to do it. And that was really powerful. Another one, a total game changer, and just talking about really, really good people, was the book Who by Jeffrey Smart. Right.
Yes.
So you guys locked into that on day one. And it really, for us, it took, especially, as a designer and hiring designers, it takes so much of that subjectivity out of it, right? Do you want to kind of speak to that and how that process, is it still exactly the same? Have you guys built upon it? Has it evolved?
The Who hiring process?
Yeah.
No, it hasn't evolved much at all. There's 4 interviews. We take, we follow the process in a pretty rigid and disciplined way. The biggest mistake when you're hiring people is that people like to hire people who they like and who are like them, not necessarily best suited for the company or the role long term. So, and I get excited when I meet people I like, so I have to follow the process in a disciplined way so I don't make a mistake. So yeah, follow it. I actually am still involved in the second level interview, the Who interview, where you ask someone questions and try to uncover what values they're using to apply to their work. I tried to delegate it for a while, but for me, it's still like people are the most important asset we have. The most critical component of our company is people alignment. So I'm still involved in I interview everyone that comes into the company for that second interview. If they pass that test, then really it's to the next stage, which is really focused on core competencies. What do they know? Are they professional? That sort of thing.
Yeah, I think on the people aspect of it. So my wife Meg works for LivCo now. She is kind of on the HR side of things, but we're shifting her into client experience. But what she kind of pointed out is like, I don't really know what you guys do. So you're asking me to build out this experience process, but I don't. So we were in Chicago last week, and she, attended pretty much every meeting that week. And shadowed and just tried to understand the process of how we operate, in which she was so enamored by. And I'm going to put words in your mouth, Meg. I'm sure she's watching. One piece she was so fascinated by was that internal handoff meeting. So when you get all these people together from a company from different disciplines with such different levels of expertise and different stuff and communication styles, it was fascinating. Right? Because you have a carpenter who's thinking about, where they're going to put blocking. And then you have a designer who's just a completely different person who's trying to give the end concept imagery. And just the nature of a design build company that's small, you don't have the separation that you do at an Apple between engineers and product designers. It's all one group trying to solve it for the client. And it's not an accounting firm where everyone is a CPA and went to accounting school and literally watches the same stuff on TV and literally cares about the same stuff. You have such different personalities. So if I'm interviewing someone as a construction personnel, right? Like I barely worked in construction. Whether or not I like them doesn't matter. To your point, we need to make it objective and have a system. And Jeffrey Smart kind of laid that out to make sure that there's alignment between what's important in the value system and the core competencies, whether or not they're telling the truth on their resume. Like the whole point of it is people give resumes let's really get the real story. Let's
Right.
learn as much about these people as we possibly can, and then see if it aligns with what the company really needs. Right.
Correct. And,
Yeah. Changed
and
everything, man.
yeah, and if you get people comfortable, if you make it more conversational, they'll relax and they'll tell you the truth. They'll help themselves or shoot themselves in the foot. So yeah, for us, it's been critical. I guess we have built in front of it a little bit too. You know, we Dean and I are entrepreneurs who bought and scaled a remodeling company. We weren't just pure remodelers. So I think we came into it with a little bit different school of thought. Maybe we were even advantaged with a little bit less head trash because we hadn't bumped our head against some of the ceilings. So we just really wanted to approach it differently. But in the nature of our business, this is not a comfortable place to be if you hate change inside Payne and Tompkins, right? So we don't change for change's sake, but if it can make us better or more efficient or make it more fun, we're going to look at it. So we also had to add, I would say you interview for three things: core values, professional hygiene factors. Can they manage a schedule, communicate, articulate, keep commitments, right? Look the part, sound okay. Write an email, professional hygiene, right? And then the last is core competencies. What do they have to be really good at? What 3 or 4 things do they have to know really well in order to be a medium to high performer in the role? But we had to add for our company, they needed to be curious. And they needed to favor getting it right versus being right. So just within the culture of our company, we have a collaborative, gentle team that's very hardworking and very accountable. We couldn't have people who weren't curious or who needed to be right. It was actually toxic. So we have built out in front of it, trying to learn from what didn't work before with people.
I love it. I like the stay curious one is just so powerful, right? Because we're all, and especially in today's world where everything's changing, like let's embrace it. Let's have some fun with it, right?
Absolutely.
I'm just want to keep on the HR topic a little bit, just
Sure.
And I always bring stuff back to hockey in case you haven't noticed, but it's spring season, so my kids go to kind of these showcases, and they get a little bit. They're going into high school, so they're not really there yet. But we've done some college stuff at a younger level, and we go to like the Q&A sessions. And the juniors and seniors ask kind of the college scouts the same question you hear it every time, like, what are you guys looking for? You know, what do you want to see? And the answer that you always get is like the intangibles is what they're really looking for. Now, obviously there's the skill, there's all the other stuff that goes into it. But once you kind of have that as a baseline, it's the intangibles, which in the world of hockey is like, do they bang their stick after they miss a shot, or do they go and get the puck, right? When someone else scores, are they excited, or are they like, dang, I wish that was me? You know, all these just things, you know, they fist bumping the goalie, all these things that I guess once you tell people that they're intangibles, then they start doing them and don't actually do them or mean it, right? But hopefully by practicing that, you start to get like the feel of it. Are there like intangibles that you guys look for? Or is that just a little bit too out there?
That's a good question. Yeah, let me think about that for a second. I mean, curiosity is one I definitely represented. I'm always charmed when I'm interviewing someone and they come across as a kind of a lifelong learner. You know, they value learning and that sort of thing. That's helpful for us in terms of one of our core values is relentless in the pursuit of greatness. We just want to constant improvement. So trying to look for people who evidence that. Yeah, and you know, generally too, like I said, well-intended and kind. It sounds silly, but we do have a team of people like that, and we have to be mindful of who we work for as clients because of that. But just picking up people who have certain values or treat people a certain way and just build off it. Like the right people 1 + 1 can equal 3 with people if they have the right connections and mutual trust in the way they work together. So we try to anticipate that as best we could. But yeah, it's a good question. I could be more intentional about trying to target what intangibles are most helpful for. So that's a takeaway from the call.
They might actually be there already in your core values, right? So do you have like a good people type core value? I imagine, you know, a caring or something like that is already embedded in there. So you're probably already checking for it. It's just tangible.
Through our core values, sure. Be authentic. We want everyone
Yeah.
to be themselves and do authentic work. Always relentless in the pursuit of greatness. One's around client service. One's around collaboration and teamwork. So yeah, they're definitely, we drill into those hard with questions. You, in the Who interview, if you follow that process and you dig for the real answer, not the first one they give you, if you ask and, because, tell me more, you will hear what drives that person. You know, is there a we win or a me win type of person? Do they take accountability? Do they blame others? There's so much good that comes out of that helps you figure out this, you know. Usually I get really excited at the end of those interviews when those intangibles and values are clear. It's like, oh, what can we do with this person? We can add them to the team and do more great things and have some fun.
Heck yeah. Well, this might be a little bit of a setup question or a mean question, but have you seen, or a leading question, have you seen in your years and years of interviewing, have you seen a shift in, do you guys hire a lot of younger folks?
We do. We have our team's pretty diverse by age, frankly.
So, I don't know. Have you seen like a shift in how you need to interview, younger hires?
No, I have. The only shift I've seen is not in the way we interview, but I have seen a shift in is the some of the mission-based work we do, you know, Make-A-Wish, our involvement in Make-A-Wish, and some of the things we do to impact the community seems to really resonate with the younger applicants for our role. That the fact that the company has a conscience, the fact that we've been chosen as the best place to work, those are resonating a lot more with the younger generations. I'm finding that they're seeking us out as much because of that, less than perhaps our reputation within the industry itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they trust us to be a good place to work and to do the right thing, I think. So that's strongest in the youngest generation.
Yeah, I think that totally resonates and makes sense, right? A greater purpose, making the world a better place is important, right? And that's definitely, I think we've seen that become stronger for sure.
Matters to us too in our organization. We do a lot of that, wish granting and other support and other ways to engage the community. Just feels great. We learn from it, and it just seems to be really valuable to the team.
Do you have someone that leads that charge? Is that Blaine? Is somebody else kind of running we have a Live Gives, we have like a committee that does it. I don't know if.
So mostly, I mean, I've been involved with Make-A-Wish myself for about 15 years. So it's my passion project. So that gets certainly a lot of attention, and I can easily influence that as an owner, right? But we also have a culture committee. We have a whole separate team that meets every 2 weeks that focuses on all aspects of culture. Hey, there were some changes that were a little bumpy. Let's correct it or inform our plans events for the team, and through that too. Through our culture committee, we might say, hey, this person is passionate about this mission and they're doing a run. So let's put some energy behind Megan to help her fundraise for the run she's doing. So it's not as intentional as an investment committee, so to speak. But it is having a culture committee has been awesome. I highly recommend it for companies. So not just for that kind of community impact, but just learning and listening. We have 50, 55 people. Day to day, I personally interact with the same 6 to 8. And so the messaging that I'm hearing is from the same people all the time. If I don't hear directly from other parts of the company, I'm absolutely going to accumulate blind spots and get it wrong. So our culture committee is really diverse across the company by experience, maybe even tilted towards less experience, so that I can be as informed as broadly as I can to get it right for the team and the company.
I love that. Is that volunteer? Can anybody be on the culture committee?
It is volunteer. We do limit it, and we want a certain amount of engagement and participation, healthy conflict in meeting, direct challenge, and complete buy-in. But yeah, we have, I think, 7 or 8 people on the committee, and I'm not sure if we have any waiting right now, but we generally try to turn it over. We don't want it to be too long or too obligatory, for anyone.
I love that. And are they doing company events and stuff like that too, or is that?
We actually have a separate events committee.
Yeah.
So that
Well, that's why I wasn't sure. Like sometimes
Yeah.
you just, yeah.
Yeah, so the events committee plans a lot of things, and those are a ball. I mean, they're just it's incredibly creative people, all doing cool things. So from silly stuff like kickball games and scavenger hunts to volunteering and giving back and that sort of thing. We did a download at the end of last year. We went through, surveyed a bunch of company people. What was your favorite event from the year? And we had like 10 different events as the favorite. So it told me that our events committee knocked it out of the park. They had so many different things that people loved in different ways. So just a great way to continue to build culture, connect our team, and, have fun.
And is the cabinet company a part of that, or is that its own?
Separate company. So we don't, that's smaller. I think there's about 9 or 10 people in that. So we are doing events and intentional culture things with that, but to a very different level. That company is also predominantly Amish. So it's also, working, trying to merge our cultures as respectfully as we possibly can. So, we are 2.5 years in, but trying to be very careful to get that right and not get anything wrong there.
Gotcha. That makes sense. How about, do you guys offer work from home?
We do some work from home. We used to be a little bit more flexible than we are now. Right now, we want 3 days a week in office. You can work from home 2 days a week, unless you're new or you're training or promoted and need more day-to-day connection.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like that's something that's become pretty important to the workforce.
Yeah,
and if it's managed and structured in a good way, I think it can be beneficial. It is hard at times because you don't have all the cross pollination, that's part of being in an office and some of that energy, but it just has to be managed. If someone's in charge of making sure when we need those moments, then I think it can all work, right?
Yeah, we were more flexible up until about 4 to 6 months ago, and went to slightly less flexible. We still have really high trust policies, but we did, in my belief, and I could be wrong, but when we share a space together, we catch up with each other, we ask how the weekend is, we get to know each other, we connect. We also ask the questions, we collaborate. There's more cohesion, it seems. It's also more distracting, more disruptive, those sorts of things. So to me, the hybrid, like, hey, work from home some, but be in the office this amount, this hybrid with 3 days in the office, seems to be working better for us. It's early on, but some of our numbers are better, billable hours and some metrics that we've tried to improve upon have improved. Don't know if it's because of that or some of the other things we're doing, but feels like it's working for us. But it's still, like I said, trial and experimentation is who we are. If it stops working, we're going to look at it, try something different, try to get it right.
Absolutely. I love it, man. I wanted to keep digging on that stuff, but we have to talk about the most interesting topic of the show, which is, I had to write it down, intentional change theory. So walk us through this. So you went back to school and got like a PhD or something in intentional change theory?
I didn't get a PhD, but I am now certified as a professional coach. So so Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland is an awesome school. They have incredible executive education. One of their professors is one of the foremost leaders in the world on behavior change. It's something he originally started studying people with addiction and how they can work their way away from their addiction. And they found that the same process applied towards trying to change yourself. So I went back, it's been almost a year taking classes and doing an incredible amount of reading and homework and studying what's called, by Dr. Richard Boyatzis, intentional change theory. So it's pretty cool. Basically, coaching believes that we all have all the answers we need. We just need help drawing them out and sorting it and then making it actionable. It also believes that advice is an insult to the intelligence of a listener. So the coaching process is about training someone like me and how to ask questions to lead someone through a series of discoveries so that they can start to work towards their ideal self. So sorry, that was probably a lot.
No, I had to take a pause and think through it a little bit, but it makes total sense, right? Like a coach isn't just giving you advice. They're digging and helping you find the answers is kind of the idea, right?
People don't argue with their own answers, right? People don't have trouble buying into their own ideas. So if it's their ideas and their answers, the people are infinitely more predisposed to taking action on them than if I say, here's what you should do, right? When someone says, here's what I want to do, and I want to do this because it's important to me, they're a lot more probable to change behaviors that are going to take work and discomfort to change.
So in learning and studying all of this, which lines up with staying curious, did you find changes in yourself?
Yeah, I'm working on it. I mean, part of it is, part of the work is that you define what your ideal life would look like, a personal vision, 10 or 15 years out, so that you're not thinking, how do I do it, but what it looks like. And then you do an assessment of current state. What do I look like today? And then once we have today, we look at the gaps. Where am I most energized to improve upon? And as I learned about where I'm at today on some of those, there are some gaps that I want to be better at. It has to do with being a better listener, more consistent listener, some of those things. But without that cognizance, I certainly wouldn't be making those changes. So, and honestly, like spending time coaching people, owners of company or just friends, and like when you take someone through the work to focus on creating the personal vision or ideal self, it's really powerful. It creates kind of like this North Star. It's kind of like if knowing exactly what you want your company to look like, but doing it for your person. And to me, it provides so much clarity on what to say no to, what to do, and what's really most important. So it's very powerful.
I love it, man. It's always something fascinating, and we have more fascinating stuff to talk about, and how you're working with other companies as well. In terms of the coaching, are you able to radiate that through your companies as well? I mean, I would think so, but that's kind of a little bit of a different.
That's a great question. So in the studies through Case Western Reserve, there's something called the developmental organization, which means a company that is intentionally trying to help their people learn and develop and grow skill. And that not only does that make them more skilled and more valuable employees, but it has a huge correlation to having more pride and enjoyment in your work as well. So we believe in that. I believe in it. So everyone in my leadership team and department head team has been professionally coached now. When the time is right, Dean has expressed an interest in also getting trained as a coach. And we want to try to start to cascade coaching and developmental conversations into our organization, actually separately from our normal review process. Because the review, it's like, here's what you need to get better at. That'll kind of burst the bubble of the creativity you want in coaching, but try to have conversations around, hey, if you were on our team, Dave, what would your ideal job be 3 years from now? What's most important to you? What are you most interested in learning about? And let's talk further and how we can connect you with someone else on the team that maybe can help you learn more about that, to see if you want to head that way or maybe head a different direction. So we're partial implementation, but we believe that it'll be just another like secret sauce and cohesive thing for our team and help us continue to evolve.
Very cool. So
it's abstract, but that's where we're at now.
It's kind of abstract, but it's the same thing. You're just trying to obtain the information and then map it out.
Exactly.
Right.
It's intuitive when you lay it out. Right. So with companies, what I do is, there's a whole lot of people who help companies, create vision and strategy and then cadence to how to execute behind that. They're all over the place, and really just pick one, be disciplined, and go to work on it. What I like best about the work that I'm doing is we start with the owner. What do you want out of your life? How should the business serve you? Are you looking for rapid growth, or are you looking for balance and lifestyle and early freedom? How is the business supposed to serve you? Let's design your ideal life in that first, and then let's design the business to support that, instead of just charging into the forest without a path in mind. I think that's what I did for the first 20 some years of my career, and I see a lot of people doing. It's let's pull back. What's most important? What would really mean a lot to you, and what would be the most fun? Now let's attack that.
And that work. So as we were, and I don't know how deep you want to go into this, but we're talking about in the green room beforehand.
Sure.
that works. So you're applying this to other companies, and now you guys are shifting out of kind of providing that as a service and actually taking an equity stake, right? So is that kind of putting your money where your mouth is? Is that kind of the thinking behind that?
Yeah, so I formed an advisory firm with three other very successful entrepreneurs. Originally, we were doing more coaching and advisory. We did one eventually. Maybe we can jump in and participate from a financial point of view. But after doing some of the consulting and advisory, we really enjoy that. But we think that we could impact sooner and more, jump into it sooner if we involve capital. So we're shifting it from just advisor to a capital firm. So right now we're in the process of interviewing actually both people as potential operators and companies as potential partners to buy in fractional share up to majority with the goal of, helping through a board seat or helping coach a leader, and then using all of our other tools, the coaching, the operating system implementation, our experience in the space, using those to help support the owner and the business, but with us invested in it for some, gain as well.
Oh, that's so cool, man. It's just everything you do is just like, wow. And then you're like, that makes total sense. Like nothing, none of it's crazy. It's just power, like just really strategic, intentional, big time moves. It's very cool.
I appreciate that. I mean, I think I just try to reduce, like we've learned the RA way, the algorithm, the systems, the financials, and as you learn a business, it becomes more algorithmic and mechanical and simpler. And it's not just that we can win, but the way we can help people win. I think having a company that serves you instead of you giving up your life devoted to it, I think that's so important. So I think to me it makes sense. And if it's simple, if it can be simplified, other people can pick it up and we can help them. And ideally, my own personal, if you ask what do I want my legacy to be, I'd like to try to teach more people how simple it can be, exponentialize entrepreneurship and companies that positively impact the community, take really good care of their people and solve problems. Because I think too many people get stuck in a job or not being as intentional, and there's so much freedom and impact that can come with some discipline and intentionality. And so to me, I think it's not super simple, but it is simpler than we make it. And I'm hoping to impact as many people and companies as I can with what I've learned.
I just keep it on that same theme. And when you talked about earlier, kind of coaching the younger or not the younger, but the people down in the day-to-day work, and asking, where do you want to be in 3 years? And to that last point, I'm sure often people, they're either going to make something up or they're going to be like, I don't know. Like I'm trying to figure that out. And so part of your work is to help them figure that out, right? Like, let's figure that out. There's something, right? Let's find out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if they know that those questions are coming, they're going to start thinking about it. And this might surprise you, but I've worked really hard to develop a culture where our team is comfortable telling us what they want to do and what they don't want to do, including whether or not it's involved in our company. We really want to make lives better for our team by creating a great place to work. Who am I to think that my company is the only spot for them to thrive in? So if someone they might be a wonderful person, they might be super valuable to the company, but if they're not happy, I don't want them here either. It's like, how can I help them find a path that really excites them? Because life's too short. So we've tried to create a culture where the company isn't people dependent. We're not going to golden handcuff anyone. We're not going to lock anyone down. That's contrary to our values. It's like, if people are doing what they want to do, it'll work the best. So we're trying to keep that open. So because we have people tell us in 5 years, I'd like to have my own design company. It's like, okay, that's fine. As long as we're not competitors, God bless you. Let's do it.
For sure. I like that. As long as we're not competitors and I don't have to buy you out, right? They're like, I know my move here.
Don't step on my turf or steal from me. But yeah, it's a big, how much competition is there really? It's like, just go, right? Do what you do best. We're going to be different enough that people should know who's the better fit for them. We're not for every client. So
and you like it. You're a competitive guy too. So you're like, yeah, go for it. Yeah, compete against me. Let's see who wins this one. Let's go. It's only going to make you better, right?
I do always like competition. strong mutual, competition is good. But yeah, every once in a while, nemesis doesn't hurt.
Yes, we talk about that at work because we have Jack. Jack, if you're listening right now, we love you, man. But he's our assistant project manager, and everyone kind of picks on him. Just they like, oh, that's Jack's fault. In like a good, loving way, and he laughs and all that. And we're like, we need to find a common enemy. Poor Jack. One day, he's just gonna lose it.
That's funny.
So I know we're running along here as usual, so we'll wrap it up pretty soon here. I have two questions, and then we'll kind of wrap it from there. One, I'm just curious because we talk so much about entrepreneurialism and business and all of that stuff. Your disc profile. So typically you have an adapted and a natural. Is yours pretty close? Like what's life like when you go home? Are you just like coaching your kids and they're just rolling their eyes like, oh God?
No,
my kids do that to me.
Yeah, they can sniff me out. I mean, the hardest people for me to coach are the people I live with. They can sniff me out. They're skeptical. Don't try that stuff with me, Dad. No, I'm sorry. What was the question?
I was just your natural versus adapted. Are you
wow,
a pretty different personality at home?
I think I've slowed down at home. I got into a practice of mindfulness and a little bit of that, and that helped me be a little bit more low key. But the truth is that I'm a high D disc, DI, and my habitual is actually further outside the chart than my adaptive. I try to calm myself and be cooler professionally, so I don't blow people up because I'm pretty energetic. So I think I'm softened a little bit in the last several years, but you'd have to ask Dean, my partner, and my wife Sarah, and some of the other people closest to me for a real truthful answer on that.
Well, just judging from, because we just kind of recently reconnected a month or so ago, and not having seen you for years. I mean, you were always a great guy then, but I mean, right now, even having you on this show, I feel like 7 years ago, you'd be like, "What's the agenda? What are we going to talk about? What am I going to get from this? What's my ROI?" And I'd be like, ugh. And now you're like, "Yeah, let's do it." Right? I said yes.
Yeah, I came into RA kind of hot. I was out to build my company, prove to myself some things. So I think I was a little more charged up there when we first met. So thank you for putting up with me.
No, I loved it. I love that energy. Like, let's go. Guys, this isn't rocket science. I'm a rocket scientist, and this is not it. Right?
That's still in me somewhat. One of my leaders of the team, Jill, she can call me out pretty successfully. Dave, you're getting impatient. I'm like, okay, I'll slow down.
I love it, man. Well, my last question, I'll wrap with this. This is your first podcast. I cannot believe it. How'd it go?
I had fun. I love spending time with you. It's been great to reconnect. I think you're awesome. And well done. I'm impressed with your ability to ask questions and keep it going. So that was impressive.
Hey, good guests make it easy, man. Good, awesome stuff. But yeah, really fun. I appreciate you coming on. If there's anything else you want to add, how about you just throw us a book to read? What's a book we should all read? I know you're working on stuff all over.
Oh, that's a good one. I would say it's a little bit of a deep dive, but if you really want to, going back to the coaching, helping people change, Dr. Richard Boyatzis, it's all about the science of change and change management. And the book itself, can walk you through kind of a self-directed plan. So it's not a light read, but to me, like if you really want to impact or help people, that's the way to do it, is by asking questions and letting them come to their answers and acting on it.
Very cool. I appreciate it, man. Well, and lastly, if anybody wants to track you down and find you, what's the best spot? They go to Payne Tompkins. Where should they find it?
Go to our website, www.payne-tompkins.com, and go to contact us, and you can connect with me directly. Happy to talk business, talk remodeling, talk coaching. So many people were kind and have helped me out along the way. I'm happy to connect with people.
You're a good man, Dave, and thanks for coming on, man. This is great. Hopefully you're down for doing it again sometime.
Yeah, this was fun, Dave. Thanks for having me. Really well done.
Love it, man. Enjoy the day.
You too. Take care.